Welcome to another episode of Don't Shit on the Bus. It's me solo again, but that is okay. This week we have Matt Heafy of Trivium. Amazing guy, great frontman, guitar player, Twitch streamer, food addict, which I love because I love food also. And Neil and I thought he'd be a great guest for the show because he kind of aligns, not kind of, he does align with all the values that we try to teach and show on this show. So, you know, he's a good guy. I've met him backstage a few times, talked with him. Neil and him joked that they've hung out in Australia a few times, and that's it, which is funny because they live 15 minutes from each other in Florida. But regardless, we had him on the show, and he did a really good job not only explaining his thoughts and his thought process behind things, but kind of showing us with examples. Hey, this is why I think this way. This is what I've gone through. This is what got me to this conclusion. And I was really impressed with just his ability to balance so many things efficiently in his life. He comes from a military background. Well, himself, he's not military, but his father was, or his mother, I don't recall 100%, but they were military. And so living life on a schedule is very natural to him. That is how he operates. He does this thing for 2 hours, this thing for 3 hours, and he sticks to it. And it was cool because that's really conducive of a productive life, which I am definitely always trying to be more productive. So it gave me some pointers there. And he started touring when he was pretty young, same as Neil, around the age of 14 or 12. I think he started the band. And because of that, he's had a lot of different phases of his career. And he goes into depth on what those were like and what he learned and what he was like. And maybe he didn't like himself here, or he did there. And it was just cool to hear him reflect. So that is what we have for you this week. In addition to that, we have a new patron this week. His name is Mark. Welcome to the Patreon, Mark. Thank you for your support. It allows us to expand our technical side of this. So we're going to be getting new microphones. We're getting a new mic stands because we're starting to do some in-person interviews here. And if you want to ask questions to our upcoming guests, I suggest signing up for the Patreon because all you have to do is throw a question in the Discord and we will ask them. But other than that, that is all I have for you today, except for a whole nother good long hour with Matt Heafy of Trivium. All right, we hope you enjoy.
Hello. It's all working. Wow, look how beautiful you look in here.
Yeah.
Look at this camera. Hey, what's up, man? Long time no see.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am fan-frickin-tastic.
How are you doing? I was just watching your stream and you went from testing video games to jamming on guitar, and now you're here on time.
Yep. It's a lot of stuff. I'm a very high anxiety person that does well with doing a lot of things. But I think I'm getting close to that threshold, getting close. But it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm very happy to see you guys. Last time I saw Neil was the opening of Winter Park Biscuit Co. And it was absolutely incredible. We've had it delivered a couple times, had it picked up a couple times. And it's so damn
Thank
good.
you.
So
yeah,
good.
It's been crazy ride over there.
Yeah, you guys, there's always a line out the door every single day. And I love to see that.
It's like you go in there. I like going there just to try to get food for us. And I'm like, shit, thank God I know someone here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for taking time to do this with us today.
Of course.
I was actually talking to one of my good friends, Jordan Lovis. We had him on the podcast recently. He's was one of our merch guys, merchandise manager. Sorry, he's fucking the best. But we were talking about that today. Is like he's been doing a lot of TMing in some of the little bit in the rap world, and he's like they're going through those growing pains currently. Like I was like, I remember that. I was like, I remember doing those wild things. Like he's like, yeah, we had to like pay the bus driver because they kept leaving used condoms up by his seat. I'm like, what the fuck? And we never did that, but like it's fucking wild.
Yeah, we did a tour. It was when we're in between being a van band and a bus band. We did a tour in this thing called a digger shuttle. And it was these, you know, those things that take you from terminal to terminal in airports. It was one of those.
Oh, like a shorter bus kind of.
Yes, but it was driven by a guy who had a Cottonmouth Kings tattoo.
Sick.
And he would brag about how he can drink a whole bottle of Jack and drive and drive fine. The bunks were made of 2x4s and PVC pipes and metal pipes. My bunk was like this tall, and I'm a tall person. I mean, Neil and I are both tall people, so it freaked me the hell out. I remember Paulo was due to go in a bunk that was even like it was like this, like it was a coffin. And he went to like our one crew guy on that tour, threw him $100. He's like, I'm taking your bunk. I remember that. But I mean, you know, Paul was paying for the digger bus. So, but yes, it was, that was actually, you know, a tour like that now would make absolutely perfect sense. But at that time we were the metal band with short hair and we were 18 years old. So we were like, screw this band. It was a Monomarth opening, which is crazy because now they're arena band. It was a Monomarth opening, Children of Bodom headlining, and we were right in the middle. During our San Francisco show, the entire crowd was booing us the whole set. We got spit on by the entire crowd. I was about to jump in multiple times to fight people. Like, our way up was so crazy. Even the poster behind me reminded me of that tour. It was Lamb of God headlining, us direct support, Machine Head, and Gojira opening, of all bands opening, and now they're a big band. I remember we did that tour, and there was a guy waiting for me outside our bus. He's like, "Good show, James." I was like, "What?" It's like, "James Hetfield, want to go, bro?" And I was like, no. And I just went the other way. So like those two tours, like now they'd be no problem at all. We're about to go tour with Lamb of God right now in a couple months. But that gave me a flashback to that run. So yeah, digger shuttle. So we're crawling out of this freaking airport shuttle bus just to get scolded every single day by this crowd. But nowadays that tour people wouldn't bat an eye about it. But at that moment, we were like, all right, we're a metal band. We're going to play some crazy, fast technical stuff. And you guys should all like this too. But we have short hair. We're from the States. So people got really mad at us.
It's funny how that works.
Yes.
A Day to Remember, actually, when we first got signed to Victory, we obviously loved like heavy music and that whole world. And A Day to Remember is probably even less accepted in that world than Trivium ever was. But we were like, oh, Dead to Fall is going to be on this tour. We should reach out to them via MySpace and be like, hey, can we open a couple shows for you? We just signed to Victory. That's how this works, right? We wrote them, and they were actually really nice, and they wrote us back, and they were like, hey, normally this doesn't work like this, but actually Misery Signals is dropping off the tour, and they were headlining, and you guys do really well. We're going through the South. Would you guys want to hop on the shows with us? And we were like, yeah, that'd be fucking awesome. And it was Dead to Fall, Faceless, and Arcist, and A Day to Remember opening.
That's some metal right there.
That was, I know the feeling.
Yes.
You're speaking of.
It's a weird feeling. But nowadays, though, if you guys did that tour, obviously the lineup would be shifted, but everyone would be stoked is the thing.
If we toured with the Faceless, I don't know. I think people would still throw pee at us.
No, I don't. I think it would work. I think anything can work in the right. Like if you're like, hey, this is going to happen. This is going to be the way it is. You reminded me of another tour. The roughest one we ever did was Trivium opening. We're first to four. There's a band called Red Yellow was second. They're kind of like a math rock, indie rock band. The End, which was like grindy, kind of post-hardcore stuff, and Dillinger Escape Plan. And the shows in Canada, I remember the first one, we're like, man, we're stoked. We've never been here before. None of the crowd would stand on the floor, and they all turned their back to us. The entire crowd. It was crazy.
It was like crazy. A thing. They're trying to send a message. They're like, we're all going to turn our back to send a message. That was what they did. It was
the whole crowd.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Is it me, or I don't think shows are like, people wouldn't do that.
Exactly.
Now.
That's what I'm saying. That's why, like, I feel like bands like yours and ours have seen some stuff that bands now don't see. They're like I'll see some kind of funny stuff, like bands getting in a beef over something silly. Yeah. I'm like, now I'm starting to sound like an old fogey. I'm like, well, back in my day, like, and it kind of feels like that now. And I think that your band and our band are the exact same age too. When did you guys start? Like, when did you guys start playing music?
A Day to Remember got together in 2003.
2003. Awesome.
But we were like in a similar band that just had a different name from like 2000.
Awesome. Yeah, roughly the same time. Yeah, we started I joined in 99. Yeah.
And you guys are similar age too. You kind of have like the same path. Like I want to say
like 24 years old.
Yeah, maybe shifted 2 years earlier, if that makes sense for you.
Yeah. How old is everyone in Day to Remember? We're 35, 36, 25, and 35.
Alex is younger than me. He is 2 years younger than me. So I'm 33. So he's 30, or no, I don't know. He's like 30, I think. 2020 didn't exist in my mind, so I don't know. Like I'm like missing.
I never know my age. I surprisingly know today. I don't know why.
Josh is half a year older than me. Jeremy is half a year older than Josh, and then Kevin is half a year older than Jeremy. So we're all like very, very close.
Same range. Yeah. I was just talking to Brandon Saller from Atreyu, and they're the same story. They started in 99, and they're all the same age. So like the three of us are all around the same age-ish. And I talked to him about the idea you and I talked about at Winter Park Whiskey Co. And I was like, so I was talking to Neil about us like someday jamming something. And Brandon's like, dude, I want to do that. I don't think you guys have met yet, but you guys would get along super well. Brandon is an amazing guy. Those guys are really good guys too.
Is Brandon the drummer?
Yes. Now frontman.
I mean, he always killed it though.
His voice,
he was always like the big vocal.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest singers like ever.
I'm stoked for them. Like their new album it just seems like it's going to breathe a whole fresh breath of fresh air into that whole camp.
Yeah,
like
man. It's
them going into this new direction, him kind of taking over that spot. It's pretty rad.
It's fantastic. And I feel like all three of our bands have done the three of our bands are pretty rare in that we've mixed so many different things that like kind of people don't imagine going, and we've made it work. And we're all from that 99, 2000s era, which is really interesting. And like all having different ratios of semi-similar influences, I feel.
Yeah, it's like we were going into this last album we were doing, and I was like trying to think about, like, everyone always kind of pigeonholes A Day to Remember as like pop punk hardcore. It's like I'm like, I don't know if it's just that. I think it's we will mix things that shouldn't go together, and we're gonna try our best to do it to where you don't think they sound weird. Like I was like, I like that idea better than like, oh, they're just pop punk hardcore, you know. Whatever.
No, what's great about your band, Atreyu, I feel like us, if you like pick a record sound, it's like when you hear it, you just know it's them, which is a really good thing versus saying, oh, it sounds like this genre. Like I think if you play a moment of like any moment across the very wide catalog of our three bands, you're like, oh, this sounds like Day to Remember or Trivium or Atreyu. I think that's
Are we setting
really
up
cool
like a world tour right now?
I think we should. Like, we may as well, man. I think that bill would crush. That bill would crush everywhere. That would be arenas in every single country.
Summer Europe festival tour. Yeah, we'll just headline. It'd be great.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Three of us. We'll do it.
Let's go.
Back in my day tour, we'll call it.
The funny thing is we all started so young that we're all like not old, and we can still be like back in my day, you know?
Yep, absolutely. Like a funny story in relation to that. I remember when we were first starting off, there's all these tours that bands want to bring us on. They couldn't because we were too young. I remember Disturbed thought we were cool on Ascendancy, and they wanted to do a Jägermeister tour, and they asked us, but we couldn't do it because we were all under 21. And so the whole thing was like, these young kids, what do they know about metal? And then the other bands we were coming up, like who were already established at the time, who were 10 years our senior, when we started doing well, who were getting kind of frustrated about it, they were always like, those are the snot-nosed kids. And there's a radio station in Texas that were like, well, can we get them to play us? And I remember our radio guy at Roadrunner said, well, he said that, like, man, haven't those guys been making music since the 80s? Those guys are done. Like, they're all in their 60s now. And I was like, what the hell just happened? So he like we are all of a sudden way too young, and now we're way too old. It's like, dude, we're the same age as a lot of young bands right now. I don't understand what's going on here, but I think it's because of the starting so young, which is it's an advantage to our bands because we've been able to keep going despite everything. I mean, despite this last year being non-existent for our main source of income, and then to find other things. Like you found your restaurant. I found my stream. I think that's such a cool thing when people find something in times of like absolute dire needs. I think that's always inspiring.
It's almost like you have to, you know, like you're like, I'm not just going to accept defeat. I'm not just going to like roll over and be like, well, I can't make my house payment. I think that certain people, especially people from the touring world, it's so hard to make it out there. You're just like, well, I am used to working this hard. I might as well just shift focus to something else and then continue doing it. You know, it's not a weird thing. It's just going to happen.
Absolutely.
I was just going to say, it kind of like goes into one of our questions we had here about your Twitch, like how you were doing Twitch before, obviously long before the pandemic hit. And you were kind of like integrating the Twitch into you guys' live shows. Like how did that work?
Mm-hmm. So about 4 years ago is when I first started streaming on Twitch. I'll take you like right before why I wanted to start. We're playing a show in Barcelona. The promoter said, hey, there's a couple YouTubers that want to meet you. And we're all kind of like, yeah, everybody's on YouTube. Let's look these guys up. We look them up. The main guy's 7 million subscribers. His buddy, 2 million subscribers. Buddy, like they're here right now. So we met them all. Incredible people. We've had them on stage with us. They've sung with us. They're good buddies now. When they left the room, I said out loud in the dressing room, I was like, I should start making videos on YouTube. And Paulo, our bass player, said to me, he's like, you should start streaming on Twitch instead. Okay. I was like, I've heard of that. It's video game streaming. I've been playing games since my mom first immigrated over here from Japan with my dad, and my dad was deployed. She was speaking Japanese to me. I was watching anime and playing video games every day as a little typical Japanese kid. And I started up, I was in love with it. It was super rough. It was like 1 to 5 people watching me playing on PS4, playing Overwatch, not really understanding I'm supposed to talk to these people here that I'm watching on my iPad while I'm chilling on my couch 30 feet away from the camera. The camera quality kind of looked this one. I'm sorry. Like I said, good cameras are taken up. But I loved it. And for me, it was a way to give back to the people who have allowed me to do what I do, because Trivium has never been a press band. We're with the exception of 10 months in the UK once. That was the only time we're ever like the magazine band, the award band. We've never been a press band, never really been a bands band. And not that we don't get along with people. It's just that we've never been the band that's heralded by other bands, and that's fine. But the people that have heralded us have always been our fans. So I was like, this is another step further than just showing people what I ate on Instagram. This is, hey, let's hang out as I play games and we'll talk a little bit. So I fell in love with it. When we go on tour, I have to put a break on it. We have the San Francisco show coming up. So here's the full circle of the story of San Francisco, that from being spit on and booed to, all right, we've got a headliner coming through. It's Trivium arch enemy, While She Sleeps and Fit for an Autopsy. Absolutely incredible bill. The tour's crushing. I get a tweet from a guy named Brandon Copert on Twitter. He says, hey, you should come to the Twitch HQ. We love your stream. I was like, all right, cool. I'll go check this place out. I just expected this tiny little storefront. It's a skyscraper and it's insane. And I loved it. And I went in, I met a guy named John Howell, So Meme Dude and Volition, those are those two guys from Twitch. And I didn't know they were into the band or anything, but they gave me a tour, fell in love with it. They lent me this thing called the Gun Run backpack. That's the backpack that we stream shows on. Brought it to the show, streamed the show, and noticed, wow, there's a lot more people watching this. Maybe there's something to this. I'm in love with this. Streamed every show, but when I go back home, get back to my kind of punk rock Overwatch streams, and that was that. My wife and I would visit San Francisco a lot to get tattooed because we didn't have a tattoo artist here. We love to go there and eat and get tattooed. So we met up with John and Brandon. John took us to our first 3-star Michelin restaurant ever, which was quite like an eye-opener to be that kind of experience. And I was telling them how much I love streaming. I was like, I love Twitch, but here's the problem. I can't stream as much as I'd like to because I need to practice singing and screaming, guitar playing at least 2 to 4 hours a day, at least 5 to 7 days a week. And so I can't stream. Brandon looks at me and goes, why don't you stream that? I was like, no one wants to watch me sing and play Trivium songs every single day and do vocal exercises in dressing rooms. She's like, just try it out. Tried it out. Then the channel changed. So this was about 3.5 years ago from right now that I started doing this. And at that 3.5 year or 3 year mark, I set a schedule. And once I set a thing, I live by it. So that's 5 days a week, 2 streams a day, that 9 a.m., 3 p.m. That was integrated 3 years ago. And it's essentially 7 days a week that I stream on tour. And it's 1 to 4 streams a day. It's every sound check, every warm up, every show. Every time I play games on days off, I mean, days off are long. We'd go out and eat and hang out in a hotel room. So why not play games and stream to people? So 5 days a week off tour, 7 days a week on tour. And I loved it because these are things I would have done anyway. Why not hang out with people that are awesome, with the same people that show up to our shows? And so that was the 3 year ago mark. And a year ago, when life shut down, everyone who was always hearing me talk about this new social media platform, they never knew what it was. They're like, I'm home. I'm going to see what Matt's been telling me to check out for the last 2 years. Then the channel popped back up. Right now, we're going to see a transition as the world opens back up. Twitch across the board viewership is down. Music across the board is a little bit lower than that. But for me, it's business as usual. I'm going to keep this thing going on because I love it. It's a part of me. I've become a better singer, screamer, guitar player, songwriter, frontman, all from doing this. And it's not because I'm sitting here playing Fortnite every day, but it's because I'm rehearsing what I'm supposed to be rehearsing to stay in shape. So if I went on tour tomorrow or I had to make a record tomorrow, I'm ready to go. That's my concept of what the channel is. It's keeping me ready to go for what I need to do.
It also kind of like the Twitch stream holds you accountable because they're like they're your community. They're your people. Like they wake up every day and they're like, man, I can't wait to watch what Matt's going to do. I can't wait to watch, what he's going to get into or learn from how you practice or how you do different things. Cause I know that's gotta be like, we talked to Mark Hoppus about that. And it's like, I can't imagine what it would have been like when I was younger, if I could have got on Twitch and been like, hey, in that one song, like when you do that thing, like, how do you do that? What are you doing? And then be able to get an answer like in real time. That would have changed everything for me.
Absolutely.
It's like back in the day, you're like, man, maybe I'll get a Guitar World magazine that they did an interview and there's like tabs in there and maybe I can figure it out.
That's a great analogy. Because I remember talking to Kirk Hammett. I was like, hey, man, you talking about using your pinky in power chords is how you strengthen. I think that was a tip he said, but I read I was like 11 years old. I mentioned that to him. So yeah, it's the same concept as that. And what was really cool in that moment, he asked me about tremolo picking. He's like, what's interesting? You guys use tremolo picking for rhythm guitar playing. He's like, that's not something I've seen before. And I was like, well, I got that from Swedish death metal and black metal. And I kind of showed him that. I showed him on my pick, the Jazz 3, this one. And he was like, you know what? That's a really cool pick. Do you mind if I have that one? I was, sure, Kirk Hammett, you can have my guitar pick.
Kirk, yeah.
But now his signature pick is a Jazz 3. So that was kind of unrelated, but you reminded me of that.
No, yeah, that's like the coolest. Those little things, I think in my head, are the coolest things ever. And like to be able to like share those, they don't really get brought up that often, but it's like, I would tell that story every chance. Like my wife would be like, shut the fuck up with the Kirk Hammett story. Yeah,
it's Neil. That one I kind of haven't mentioned it. When you mentioned you being able to watch Mark as a kid, it made me think of me being able to watch, like, I was picturing James Hetfield as a streamer, but I can't really picture it.
It would be awesome.
Yeah, he'd probably play Call of Duty.
That would be the coolest.
Or like Duck Hunt or something like that, like retro game.
Him in the garage, like working on cars and shit.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Cool. That'd be amazing. Well, you and I should recruit him, and then we'll make Twitch very happy.
Oh my god.
But yeah, those little stories are so cool. And you mentioning that, I do forget that every day that the channel, like you said, the accountability is really great. Because if there's a day my voice feels rough, or I'm like, you know what, I don't want to practice today, but you know what, I have to, because there are people there that this is their coffee shop, this is their bar, this is their gym, this is their church, this is whatever it is to them. It's that. That's what I try to think of it as. And I've been able to meet and know and become friends with a lot of people from here as well. Like I know them by name. I know what kind of games they like. It's just been a really cool thing. It's like this, even though it's not the largest channel in the world, same with our band. Like our band is Trivium is right in the middle. And my whole life, I struggle with that. And probably up until the last year, maybe up until having kids, I struggle with that. I'm like, why aren't we here? Why aren't we there? Why isn't our band here? Because we put so much time in this and this and this. But then finally, I stopped saying like, oh, I want to be in the biggest band in the world. I want to be the best guitar player. I want to be this, or that. I just started saying, I want to be the best Matt Heafy for all the Matt Heafy things in the world and just that. And that's finally when I started relaxing. It's definitely thanks to the channel and definitely thanks to having the kids, because that changes perspective. And how old is your kiddo now?
She is 6 months old, I think. Around there.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, this phase is up until about 9 months. It gets a little bit easier. 12 months, a little bit easier. 12 and a half, a little bit easier. 2 years. She's
evolving from her potato form into like little human. So she's like getting all these little personality traits, and it's getting fun. Yeah. It's like slowly turning into a little person, which is like, I'm so excited. That's awesome. And everyone I talk to is like, hey, enjoyed this phase, but I'm like, I'm excited I'm excited to have a little wild thing. I
think you're of the same headspace. It's like when they're really little and you're like, man, everything can hurt them. That's not fun. No. But once they're like, sure, our 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old, now we just moved into big kid beds, that was a heck of a transition. And I'm so thankful that Ashley always does her research. She's like, all right, well, what we're supposed to do is talk about it like in the months leading up. So like, hey, this big kid bed is really cool, isn't it? So we kind of built it up. So they're pretty stoked on it. But now today, of all days, during nap, our son figured out how to stand up, open his door, and walk into the hallway when he should be napping. We're like, dude, what are you doing? Get back in there. And he laughs and runs back in, and we close the door. He comes back out again. I think we did that 10 times today. So, but I do love this phase when they're like a person. It's really cool to see that evolution. And what's really exciting, you'll start to see a lot more. I think it was around 6 to 9 month mark. You'll start to see so much of yours and your wife's personality in your kid, and be like, oh, that's a little bit of me, and that's a little bit of you, and that's really exciting to see. Yeah, it's so cool.
We just started the baby-led weaning. I don't know if like letting them eat food and shit.
Yep.
So she's eating all like tomatoes and avocados and all this crazy stuff, and she tried yogurt the other day for the first time.
I love the faces.
And she's just like,
yep,
like almost throw up, and Mary's like, no, that's normal. I'm like, it's not normal. She does not like it. And they're like, no, she could like it still. And I read the book. I'm like, I guess she can. I don't know.
That's the same thing that we did too, the baby-led feeding. Yeah. I remember the first thing Mia ever tried was avocado covered in panko. Our kids are going to eat very well. I can tell with your wife being a chef and us being obsessed with food. And we still have the pictures of her first ever trying that. It's really funny.
I love the idea of that too. It's like, I didn't even know that was a thing. There's so many things I didn't know were a thing. They're like milestones. Like when you're having the baby, like I'm a third of 3 in my family. So like my 2 sisters are much older. And so I had a lot of like experience with their children when they were younger. And to me, it was just like, oh yeah, the kid, it's 1 now. Oh, it's 5. Holy shit, they're in college.
Yeah.
And like there wasn't like all these things, but like when you're a parent, everything's like a milestone. So it's like her trying this and that. And I just never knew like all these things were like actual events, things like. And now I'm just like, I feel like I'm that parent now. I'm like, oh, our baby's sleeping through the night. It's fucking fantastic. And everyone's like, no, she's not. I'm like, I swear to fucking God.
When our kids finally started sleeping, our daughter was sleeping by 3 months naturally. Our son didn't start sleeping until 13.25 months. But we hired a sleep training expert who had photo books of every success story. 30 years she's been sleep training kids. She gave us 50% of our money back. She's like, I cannot figure your son out. And she left. We're like, what? And then he went straight back to 3 to 5 to 7 times a night, waking up screaming like he was being eaten by wolves. But because he didn't know how to sleep. And then I remembered, I remember being a kid and asking my friends, how do you go to sleep? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know how to fall asleep. Even last night, like once I fall asleep, I'm asleep. I'm a light sleeper, but I have to have done a lot. Like I have to have done like jiu-jitsu and mace and all this stuff.
Fully exhausted.
Yeah. So then we found this like good sleep training method. It took us another couple of weeks, but then he started sleeping. So now he's a fantastic sleeper, but it took a long time to train him that. But yeah, so like when I used to have friends that had kids, I'm like, hey, let's hang out. I'm like, I can't, my kid. And I'm like, I never understood that. Mm-hmm. And now you and I, we understand what it is. Like if someone's like, hey, let's go grab drinks. Like I need to do a lot before I can, like, I've got to get the babysitter. I got to make sure all this stuff's prepped. If my kid didn't eat or didn't sleep or didn't poop yet, I can't do anything, man. And it's like such a long explanation that only other parents get, I think.
Well, it's crazy too, because it's like, even like the weird things, I'm like, no, she has to nap at 1 p.m. and has to eat at 2:30. And if she's not back asleep by 2:45, it's going to screw up her. And like, no one understands that. So I'm like, I can't, like in the day, I'm like, I can't do that. I don't know. It's wild.
100% with you. Like
everyone in chat's like, the fuck?
luckily ours, I think at least 50% of my crowd is our parents. Some of them have like 3 to 5 kids too. I'm like, I don't know how you do it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then some of them are my age and that have kids the age of other people that we play games with. It's like one of my moderators, actually, both of us are at the age that we could have had this kid that is our other moderator. Like he could be my son, the age he is now, which is nuts. I didn't know
like
that.
If you had kids in your early 20s.
Yeah. He could like help me out with like mixing and mastering and has all these technological things and all these great ideas. And I just kept thinking, he's probably 30. One day we're gaming like, so how old are you, man? He's like, 16 going on 17. Oh, okay. I'm talking about Sal. Yes.
Twitch is incredible in that regard because it kind of takes away, even though like I would assume most of us like we don't have like that judgment of like, right, like age or gender or whatever, you know, you just we're living life. You're nice people because they're nice to you and whatever. Without Twitch, you don't even remove that completely. And it's just like you meet someone, you're like, hey, we're great. We get along. This is awesome. And then you like meet in real life. You're like, holy shit. I never would have thought that's what you look like. This is amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that aspect because our band, you know, the world, the genre where you guys come from is a lot more like vocally accepting of all. And our band has always been kind of a sore thumb in metal because we've always been that too, which is something you don't hear of in metal as much. Metal's a little bit more exclusive and elite. And I think that's probably one of the issues we had coming up in the metal scene. So it was like our lyrics are more about accepting all walks of life that don't hurt each other, and that's the way we are. We're going to champion that. And that's what the channel is. And I do love that you pointed that intergenerational thing because, yeah, we can game with 16, 17-year-olds and there is no age or there is no gender. There is no race. There is no religion. It's just all of us getting along out of the common things that we love. So I actually just started working with a company called Growing Boulder. They're a 50-plus lifestyle like hub, and what they do 50 to 120, you know, like the age of 50 on. They covered like Olympic athletes who do the senior games in their 80s and 90s and sprinters in their 90s and like people that have more tattoos than you and I that are in their 70s and 80s. And I just did I led the first ever intergenerational gaming competition. What it was 10 people from my channel that streamed with their 10 50 pluses, and their 50 pluses were coached by them, and they all competed in Among Us for like a ton of prizes, which was really cool. So that even shows that, yeah, like our mission with Growing Boulder is to extend that further. Because right now, like the Twitch reach is, I think the majority is probably 14 to 36 is probably the main age bracket of Twitch. But now Growing Boulder, we want to bring that 50 plus into Twitch as well. And so you saying that made me.
I can't imagine like how many people would gain like so much amazing stimulation from the Twitch that wouldn't even think to like be involved with it, right? Like I grew up in the Villages, which is the world's largest retirement community. They have a bunch of wild things that they do there, and they're known for. But
I've heard that's a party.
That's where I grew up. Like I lived in this place called Summerfield. But to imagine if that whole community like embraced that, and like that's what they did during the day was like play video games, and how many benefits there are for like your brain, and like how awesome it is to like stay active in that regard, like playing video games and like
you 100% get the mission statement. Yeah, and that's what we're doing with Growing Boulder. We're like showing people, hey, you don't have to like think that you're going to stop streaming and stop playing video games at 50, because with music world, you and I, we don't think about that. And that's what I was telling Mark, the founder. Mark's in his 70s and he's in as good a shape, if not better than me. We were saying that because he was talking about ageism and how big of a problem it is, obvious and everything. But in the music world, that doesn't really exist. Like we look at AC/DC and Guns N' Roses and Van Halen, like they're awesome. We don't think about their age. We don't think about Maiden's age or Metallica's age or Slayer's age. We're like, they're just legends and they're incredible. Same thing, Dead Kennedys, Misfits, like they're just awesome. That's fine. And I mentioned that to him. And, you know, the whole idea is bringing that to everything else. Like gaming, you know,
that's really cool.
Everything over 30 on Twitch is called a boomer. And I'm like, well, let's kind of fix that. And actually tomorrow, the test I was doing, Adam, I'm playing tomorrow with Boomer Gaming.
I saw that.
Yeah. So his whole thing is that he's a 50 plus gamer who's a sick Apex player. Yeah. So he's like, that's the collab idea with Growing Boulder, of having like someone of one age, having a discussion with someone of another age. So we can have like, Neil, we can get you with one of your heroes who's like between 50 and 110 and talk to them. And like, that's the whole idea, like bringing these stories together so people can show that there doesn't need to be any segregation of age, just like there doesn't need to be a segregation of anything else.
I feel like technology really is, and I see this mostly, well, in my world, photography, it really makes age irrelevant. And like you said, like I work with people, help me on my Discord or help me with the podcast. And I barely ever ask their age. And it always blows my mind. Like you said, one of the guys I work with, I was like, so what are you up to? He's like, oh, I got to go to high school tomorrow. And I was like, what? Like how? I don't know. And I'm similar to you guys where I started when I was 13, 12 or 13, 14 doing my thing. And it's weird being in something for 20 years, but still being relatively young. Technology is great. It brings everybody together.
Yep.
So
I love that. I love that. Just like music and, technology and social media and all the internet stuff. Like we've seen what the bad side is. And thankfully what we're all about is promoting the good side through your music, your restaurant, my music, my channel, your photography, like just showing the good that we can do and spreading that around. So hopefully our message is believed in by everyone that listens to us.
And that's really, honestly, when I was talking to Neil, or we were talking about getting you on the podcast, I was like, I've only met Matt a few times, but when I've met you, and for people who have never toured, like you'll see, we'll go to festivals, right? That's usually, haven't toured together, at least to my knowledge. So see you at a festival and you see people for maybe a minute or two, if that. Maybe we're at catering, maybe our dress rooms are next to each other. And you always left a lasting impression on me because as a photographer, not many people remember me or know me or anything. And you remembered me. And it really stuck out. It wasn't like anything. It's not like, you took me out to eat or something. It was just a simple fact that you remember my name. You said hey to me. And I was like, wow, that fucking dude's cool. And it really, like, that is the vibe that Neil and I love so much, is like really taking the time to do that. Is there anything that I feel like you having a routine and everything you do in life to stay healthy and stay mindful really lends itself to pushing that image every day on the road? Is that a conscious effort on your part?
It's a great question. I've never been asked. First of all, thank you so much for the kind words. That's amazing. And my running, like, fun, smiley joke between Trivium and Day to Remember, we've seen you guys more in Australia. And that's what every time I've seen you, Adam, it's always been in Australia, but we lived like 15 minutes, or I guess you guys were in Ocala at the time, an hour away from each other. But we keep seeing each other in Australia. First time I met you was Soundwave. I remember it was on that second stage thing. The promoter AJ introduced all of us together. Like, oh yeah, we're from Florida. I'm in your video. Or I don't think I was in your video yet. But yeah, so is it a conscious effort? I think thankfully it's a lot of things. I tell people all the time that because of my parents backing what I wanted to do, that helps so much. But I like to tell them too, just because you don't have that, if you don't have that, you can still get there. Mm-hmm. That definitely helped me out a lot. My dad is a Marine. My mom is Japanese. Those are two very disciplined, very regimented, very intense cultures. They have a lot of similarities, but they're also polar opposites. Like, especially because, like, with my mom, it's like she's super, super sweet. I'm not calling my dad not sweet, but I feel like that drill instructor mentality, while it was tough as I was a kid, it has helped me out a lot now, because now schedule is something I'm addicted to. But schedule is something I need. And you see it in infants. Infants need it. Animals need it. Adults need it. I think it's kind of ingrained into you to want to be good and to want to do good and to want to put good out. And that's why it's always been the message of our band. Record one, I was 17 when we wrote the lyrics, and it didn't quite get into the messages of like acceptance and like fighting for the good of all. Second record, it did. Like by the time I was 18, that was definitely a bigger message of it. And when I start to meet different fans, I remember we've got a song about child abuse and domestic violence called "The Gunshot to the Head of Trepidation." And that was a very intense song to write, because I knew a lot of people that were going through that. I didn't know how to personally deal. I would try to lend a shoulder to cry on, some support as a 16, 17-year-old seeing that. And so I was able to get in the headspace and make that music. And I remember the first time I ever met a fan who came up to me and said, that song saved my life, because I realized in that moment, it wasn't my fault. I wasn't the only person that was going through this, and it saved me. And the song doesn't have a light at the end of the tunnel. The light at the end of the tunnel of that song is the fact that I was able to write it, to put it out there. And that's what I always say. Like, we've got songs about depression and thoughts of suicide. And I say what the idea is, this is out there to show you that you could put those energies into something else instead of hurting yourself or others, getting through that and allowing yourself to move forward. So I started seeing that was making an impact on people, and starting to see that our music was bringing great people together. It just kept that encouragement. And it can be tough. It can be tough in days where there's too much going on, or there's too much in the world that's going on that's bleak and bad and terrible, and things aren't going the way you want to. I'll slip and start to kind of fall through the cracks a little bit. But as long as I keep the good influence and keep, like the first thing I said when I came on today, I'm a very high anxiety person, that to cure that anxiety is by doing a lot of things. It's not just the intense stream schedule, but I need yoga and mace lifting and Brazilian jiu-jitsu and eskrima and striking and all these things in my life too. It's a lot of stuff I pile on, and family and friends and the kids and great TV and great movies and all these things. It's this concoction, this cocktail is what keeps me feeling balanced. It's not a cure. It's not like the way out, but it is what keeps me feeling great. And everyone that always asks in here, like, hey, I'm having a rough time or a bad day, I always say that I feel mammals need two things. Humans need two things outside of everything that we have to do. We need a physical outlet, whether that's running, jogging, shadow boxing, jiu-jitsu, whatever it may be. And we need a hobby that's not our job. Gaming, photography, yoga, cooking, something that's not our profession. If you have those two things, it'll help. And then you add on the top of speaking, talking to someone. If things get too intense, there was, I'll have to scale it up and down. I'm about to scale it back up a little bit as touring comes up. I usually bi-monthly will see my therapist and make sure I talk to her and kind of cleanse the mind out. And it even feels weird still saying that in our country specifically. And I think that's a big problem. So everyone's always taking care of their bodies, getting massages, cryo, working out, eating right, sleeping right, but they're not taking care of their minds. And you have to take care of the mind first and foremost before you take care of the body. So I try to show people that I held myself accountable with that as well. So it's a lot of stuff, just like everything in my life. I feel like I've got too much stuff. I'm the guy on tour that has too many bags, too much shit. Everyone's like, here's Matt with his 3 luggage bags and his computer bag and his 2 backpacks and all this stuff. I have a lot of stuff. I know I need it. I prep it myself. I pack it myself. I burden myself with it, but then I'm never wanting for anything. And I believe it's the same thing with the way I handle my life. I give myself everything to try to keep myself positive for the people that depend on me. That was a very long answer to a very good question.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was awesome.
I was going to say earlier, you said that you finally felt relaxed in regards to the size of your band, or maybe you were talking about that issue when you had your kids. And I think you said Twitch. I wasn't sure, but you had like 2 other things. Did that like how was your life before that? Were you just not relaxed, or did that just was one more thing that you kind of mentally came to terms with?
I mean, when I was 12 years old watching Metallica's 1989 Seattle Binge and Purge, I pointed at the TV and said, I'm going to do that when I grow up. And so the first Kerrang cover, it's 18-year-old jerk, confident Matt saying, we're going to be the next Metallica. And like, that was what I lived by, is not to copy what they did, but to put in all the work nonstop to make sure it happens. Is the goal. I'm chasing it. And as I said, our band is in a very stable place. Like, we don't have to worry about making rent. We don't have to worry about where's the next meal coming from. And I think that is success. Like, I feel like the idea of success has been very bastardized. Like, oh, I need a private jet. I need 50 cars. I need a mansion. That's not the case. Like I feel like success is when you can finally do what you love to do for a living and not have to worry about it, not have to worry where you're going to sleep. And I think that's a fantastic thing. And I believe that it is from having kids. I believe that it is from having this stream. I believe that it is from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I feel like so many people would benefit so much so from getting into something like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Because like, I got into it. I remember it took a couple months to get into my first class where I finally was to grapple someone. And I remember my first partner was like 16, 17 years old, probably 100 pounds less than me. And I was like, I've got this. Slapped hands. Within 30 seconds, he choked me out. And I was like, okay, I don't got this. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
That's humbling.
Yeah. The first 3-4 years of 5 to 7 days a week of going to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I was like, I think I hate this. I think this isn't for me, but I stuck with it for those 3 to 5 years. And then finally it started making sense. Then I finally started finding my own taste, the own things that I like, the things that I should train that make me a more difficult opponent for my partner. And, now 8+ years in, I think it's a great metaphor to a band, to a stream, to anything. Like, everything is difficult.
Dude, yes.
Someone was asking me about getting tattooed the other day. I was like, same thing. It sucks. It sucks getting tattooed, but the final result in the end is a great metaphor for hard work in life. Still the way I practice. I still practice to be better than Bruce Dickinson, better than Freddie Mercury, knowing it's not going to happen. So I add that part at the end. Like, I know I'm not going to get that good, but I'm going to put in the work that it needs, that it would take to get that good.
Dedication, man.
Yeah.
That's what it takes.
It's like you go into like a situation with no plan B, right? You're like, I have the confidence that I have what is necessary to make this happen, no matter what. And you're willing to do whatever it is. It's like, because in the beginning, you don't know what that is. You're just like, but I'm going to do it. And it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. And I think that it's the survival that you talked about, that we talked about a minute ago back, when you were about to start the restaurant, when I was like, I need to work on this stream more. It's not accepting failure, not accepting, all right, I can't tour right now. I'm not just going to sit and be mad about it. Right. I'm going to do something about it. And that's why also when this started happening, like, people started going, oh, well, Matt streams. And that's why I put a big thing out there. It's like, any musician in the universe that has any questions about how to do this, I'll let you know everything I know. Because I feel like when we all rise up, when we all benefit, I think we all benefit together. And I think that was a tough thing for us when we were younger. I feel like a lot of people in our genre were looking at us like, all right, this band's trying to take something of mine. And I remember having a lot of our favorite bands, some of them to my face, heckling, bullying, some of them behind my back, some of them in press. And that was really intense. Like, I remember reading a show review of one of my favorite bands of all time. I had their posters in my room. The guy talking badly about my band in their show review. like from stage. I remember he's like, I'm not going to say what, I got to carefully navigate this. He's like, I don't want to see that Trivium shirt. Go get him my band shirt. And they got him his band shirt to put over the Trivium shirt. I was like, damn.
Jesus.
And so then I started, kind of talking badly about this guy. He heard about it. And then, he kind of like was getting heated about it. And I said, well, let's just start over then. I was in my towel. I just came out of the shower on a festival. And he's like, all right, fine. I was like, I'm Matt. Nice to meet you, man. I shook his hand, walked away. And then now we actually get along quite well. It was just that kind of stuff. Like it was this very greedy, like, no, this little sliver's mine. But for me, I'm like, let's all have it. Let's all go up together. And that's the way we do it. That's the only way we can secure ourselves for the future. But yeah, that's back to like the back in my day. Like it was crazy. It was crazy. I think we were just getting in that, like that stuff started going away. The stories of like, in the 80s, any band that opens for Slayer gets bottled and beaten up and spit on. We did a co-headliner with Slayer in the UK, 2008. Did a co-headliner with them in the UK. And I remember getting out into Manchester because the UK was like I said, it was our only territory that loved us. But the cheering sounded different between every song. And I walked up and I was like, all right, how's everybody feeling? Half the crowd cheers. Everyone that fucking hates Trivium makes some noise. The other half cheers. I'm like, ha, I even got you to make noise. And then by the end of the show, we had like 90% of the crowd into it. So it's like, I feel like that was still that hangover of the 80s, 90s, trying to be this tough guy, macho, like bullying the young kids around that we were kind of finally stepping out of. It was like 2008, 2009, 2010 when that stuff finally started going away. But we're always just like, we're the same people essentially. And that's what I love so much about my bandmates. And now Alex, Alex hasn't been with us as long. I've been in since 99, Corey since 2004, Paulo since 2004, Corey since maybe 2003, and Alex for the last 3 years. Is the four of us all share the same mindset. We're religious practitioners of our instrument. We're all nice, normal, happy-ish people, just like everyone else. And we don't think that we're better than anything or anyone. And we just want to have fun. We just want to go out on the road, eat well, play games, play shows, hang out with cool people. And that's sort of it. And those are the fellow bandmates we've always been gravitating towards. And I feel like that's why we've always been like, I feel like our planets have always been like, hey, Trivium Data, remember, hey, what's going on? And we've always gotten along because we have that same mindset. And it's always very refreshing to meet other people that have kind of had some of the same turmoil on the way up and who ended up in the same place. So I do, I know we've talked about it for the last 10-ish years. Hopefully we can tour. I think the two of us would do really well. And while we are different, I feel like there are a lot of things in the similarities of ages, where we come from, mixing of different things that shouldn't go together. I remember with like Ascendancy, I was like, I love Further Seems Forever, but I also love Dimmu Borgir. So I'm going to mix these two things together. I was like, I love Christian metalcore, but I also love satanic black metal. So why not mix these things together? And I think that a juxtaposition is like, it's like cooking. It's like mixing things and creating things. Oath. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Love
and I was like, let's mix these things. Let's mix Satan and Jesus in the same influence. And why not?
When I was young, that was the only way I got my mom to let me listen to like heavy music. I'm like, Mom, he just said, Jesus, I love you in this song. They're Christian. She's like, no, they're not. I'm like, I swear to God, listen right here to this song. And I like played her like the old Under Oath EP. And she's like, okay.
Sure they did.
Anytime they scream, I'm just like, it's the same band, Mom. She's like, yeah, whatever. Okay, cool.
Yep. And I feel like those juxtapositions of what you guys have done and what we've done is why we work. And it's why we're like staple band names that people know. And I think in like the 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 years, it'll be our bands that are the staple headliners that you see at all festivals. And I think that's the way it should be.
I hope I'm like the guy that can move around like Bruce Dickinson at 60 years old. Like that dude is a G.
Yeah, he can
do like backflips and shit.
I think it was during or immediately after throat cancer recovery, he was a better singer than he's ever been in his entire life. And it's crazy. He's a fencer, a novelist, a pilot.
I hope that we are able to kind of break that cycle, and I think that like in other genres of music, like rap, for example, everyone is on everyone else's song. Everyone builds everyone up. I mean, like they obviously have their beef. They have like the situations that certain cities don't get along with other cities and whatever, but they all build each other up. They're all so easily into collaboration with each other and doing these things. And I wish that was like how rock was, I wish that it was, and I think that that's the way that it's going, but it's like just seeing that, it's like, man, that would be so cool. I
think with you saying that, like, where you are and where your band is and where I am and where my band are, like, is the changes we want to see, we just gotta do it. Mm-hmm. I believe that if you want that and you make that happen, we're going to change the course. And I feel the same because I love the collab thing too. And that's why I've been doing just like very bizarre collabs. Last week, I did a song with Richard Marx that came out, like the Richard Marx right here waiting. I made a metal version that he actually sang on, which is incredible.
What?
This weekend, I've got a song I did with Mike Shinoda. I did a K-pop song completely in Korean, and I couldn't even speak Korean, but I was rapping and screaming in Korean. So like, we got to make the change that we want to see. Cause I totally agree with you about like, hey, this guy's buddies here and like everyone's cross promoting each other and everyone's bringing everyone up. You and I, we are influencers of the way the music scene can change. And I feel like we can do the change that we want to see.
Just got to go into the darkness that seems so scary, but really it's just not. It just has to happen.
Exactly. And just make our own path the same way you said these things shouldn't go together, but I like them. Same way I did too.
It's fucking Adam, you're going to be there too, and you're going to document the whole thing.
Let's do it. Hey, man.
I love hearing about all of this, and I know it was a little bit back that you said this, but I think that a lot of, the way old school fans were, and, you're talking about how when they come to shows, maybe they've got a little bit of ego or whatever's going on there that makes them not like the artist. Well, Neil and I can relate in the vibe where, at least in the podcast, we've seen that with some old school crew members or maybe on the road, and we've seen a similar vibe. And I think that it's important as artists, as you guys are in the band, to treat people the way you think they should be treated. And then that trickles down to your crew, and it trickles down to your fans, and it trickles down to everybody you know. And I like that there's change. It's great because I feel like you said, the new way of doing everything is like, we don't care who you are, where you're from, how old you are, what your experience is, as long as you're here for the right reasons and our values kind of line up, we can do whatever the hell we want. Absolutely. And I think that's awesome. So I'm on board for everything you said. And this was just a long statement of me saying, I agree.
Hell yes. And it made me think too, because like two crew stories that you're mentioning, like when we were younger, we didn't know the impact that crew could have. Like we're still very respectful or just doing our own thing. We've had bad crew that we didn't know about. And I remember there was a long time, for many years, there was a horrible, horrible reputation on me. And I've heard like all sorts of different musicians of all different scenes all knew about it. And like the no one eats till Matt Heafy eats. I don't know if you guys heard that one. So we were doing a headlining tour. It was Trivium, Protest the Hero, The Sword, and Seamless. And I remember we had this tour manager that we didn't know was kind of scummy and kind of horrible. Luckily it's not a like scum story. But the opening band showed up, it wasn't catering, but they went up like, we're eating lunch meat that was in the kitchen. The guy comes up, he's like, whoa. Nobody eats till Matt Heafy eats. And send them all out. I didn't tell the guy to say that. What the hell? Like, what psychopath I have to be to tell a tour manager, make sure that opening band does not eat. But this thing spread like wildfire. Like this was around the same time I was mentioning about the bully bands and all the weird things going. This is like right when Ascendancy was out for a little while. I think going on the Crusades of 2006. And it took years for that to go away. Years. Like some of my favorite bands, hey, nobody is so Matt Heafy, right? It's like people yelling at me. And I was like, dude, this sucks. But now next week, I hired a sick slam/tech death artist who made me into a monster. The back says no one eats till Matt Heafy eats. It's
I was
Matthew
literally just
Heafy.
going to say, can I have that shirt? Because I will wear it.
I'm releasing it. They exist. So I've had it. I've also had a shirt a couple of years ago. I did that too. But I finally ran into the singers coincidentally in Australia at Soundwave. And I was like, hey, man, I heard about this years later. I'm very sorry this happened. I didn't know. We got rid of this guy for a lot of other things of him doing things like that. That wasn't us. I think I was like, all right, I understand that. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I've kind of had a fine relationship since then, but that really sucks. Like when you don't know there's people working for, like I would never say for, working with us, our crew guys working with us that are bad. And thankfully nowadays we just have, we've got an all vetted, all awesome, very nice crew. And what we do, like, I remember Mark Morton from Lamb of God made a joke at a festival. It was a Grass Pop. He's like, dude, everywhere I look, the four of you Trivium guys are together. I'm like, yeah. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, you guys are always together at every meal. You guys hang out on days off. Like, what is this? We're like, we just want to see each other. So like every day, we wake up, me and Paulo, maybe Alex or Corey, if they're up, go get breakfast. And then we like the best local breakfast place. So we'll make sure to be the best local dinner place before the show. And days off, it's always our entire band, our entire crew. We're like, let's go eat somewhere awesome. Let's hang out. Like we want this thing to just be like a fun experience. And that's, again, that's the thing I said, that the change that you want to see, you can make it happen. But this is all leading up to too. A day to remember Trivium. Let's go on tour and have a good time. It's going to be amazing. Let's do it.
The Eat Our Way Around the World tour.
Let's do it.
There's so many similarities between you guys. Sorry.
Yep. How do you figure out what is the best place to eat in the city that you're in? Like how do you do that?
So after the show, let's say I'm laying my bunk, looking up things. I'll cross-reference stuff. Like I'll use a lot of different food apps and also like check like local blogs. I'll try to see. Yeah. But nowadays it's so like I've got so many places saved for most cities, most places around the world. I mean, if you're like, hey, man, I'm going to this country, where do I eat? I'll at least be able to point you in the direction of what style or what food. And usually we'll have someone from like, who we've known for years, like our good friend Trivium Portugal, Joanna. She's a nurse in Portugal, but every time we're about to go, they're like, hey, we're coming back. Where are we eating? And so she'll help set the place. Yeah. Her and her friends will come out. We'll all eat there together and we'll have a great time. So we really go serious about the food. I mean, we've eaten some of the greatest stuff everywhere ever. And we just research the hell out of it. Yeah. Or I'll be like in my bunk and I'll be like screenshotting pictures to the band guys. Like, hey, here's where we're eating for breakfast tomorrow. And I'm always the guy that orders way too much. We eat very seriously on tour.
Food is the main reason I still love touring.
Yep.
Like I love playing music. I love being on the road with my friends and whatever. But it's like food is on the dark days the reason I keep going. Yeah, right. Tomorrow we get to go fucking Vortex Burger in Atlanta, and I like start thinking about this shit. I'm like, it's everything's fine.
It's my favorite thing. My favorite thing on tour. So when we do our tour, we're like, hey, look, here's all the food cities. But like, I'm super stoked we're going on this next tour. But what I'm most upset about it is that it's in amphitheaters and I can't eat locally. It's going to be catering in an amphitheater after COVID. And I don't know what this is going to be like. I don't know if it's going to be good or not. But that's why I like being in the cities.
Never stopped me. I always
get out. Yeah.
I'm paying for it twice, but not really because.
But kind of. Yeah. You know how it goes, Adam. Every day I'm like, hey, will someone go with me to leave to go here? And everyone's like, we actually have like our job we need to do.
Except for me.
Oh, I'm the same. I get super scared and sad that like, oh man, Paulo's not awake yet. And I'm hungry. I want to go to breakfast. I'm not eating by myself. And all my crew guys are working. Like Corey's the one that usually sleeps. He's the like latest sleeper of the band. Alex will be with us 50% of the time. But me and Paulo, it's like every day, every breakfast, we're there.
I think I found a new job for me.
Yeah.
I wake up early. So if anybody on tour ever needs somebody to just come and hang out with them while they go out to eat, I'll be that guy.
I always, because I'm like, I love this experience too much to have it by myself. Like there has to be at least one or like 20 other people.
Dude, it's one of those things. It's like
1 or 20.
Did it even happen if it was by yourself? You like come back and try to like explain to people. You're like, no, it was like the best Mexican food I've ever had. And they're like, yeah, okay. I'm like, fuck, come on, man.
I agree.
Hit us with your top food experience. It doesn't necessarily need to be the best food, although I'm sure they're correlated. Because I know Neil and I have one after, but hit us with your top food experience or top few if you can't pick.
You know, the one, it's not necessarily a top one, but it's the one I was thinking about when I was talking about 20 people and all that. There's this place called Chicken and Hens in Birmingham. And Birmingham, the UK is known for incredible Indian food, but this place is an Indian barbecue. Oh, yeah. And so it's this old pub with like sports on TV and like kind of like you could buy cigarettes out of a vending machine. But there's this back room that they can actually fit 20 people in. And they bring out these super steaming piles of like all this like incredible Indian grilled food. And we've been there a lot. That place is amazing.
I found it.
Yeah. Hens and chickens or chickens and hens.
Hen and chickens.
Hen and chickens. Yeah. It's a very strange name. The website, the menu, everything. You're like, I don't think this is going to be good, but it's incredible.
It's got a lot of reviews.
One of the most moving food experiences. So I moved away from Japan when I was 1. My mom basically didn't know English. She only knew a little bit, left with my dad and I and moved away. She came to our first Japanese tour. It was Arch Enemy in Trivium. And we had a show in Hiroshima where she's from. I was able to meet my grandparents for the first time since I was a kid, since I was 1. And my mom took us to, so there's this style of food called okonomiyaki. I don't know if you guys have had that in Osaka, probably in Osaka. Okonomiyaki is like, people call it like the Japanese pizza or Japanese pancake. It's not really odd. Yeah. So it's like
I've had it.
Yes. So it's like these two like kind of dough things that are cooked in crisp with a bunch of noodles, bacon, egg, all this stuff inside, the fish flakes that move on top. Okonomiyaki in Osaka is smaller. Like that's like the okonomiyaki in Osaka style. But Hiroshima style is like much bigger. So my mom took us to a super old school Hiroshima style okonomiyaki place. And that was amazing to be able to be there with the band and my mom and eat her favorite food in her home city. So that was one that sticks. Yeah.
Have all the worlds collide like that. That's pretty cool.
I love when that happens.
You got to do it like you said, when you go to a place, the easiest way to make sure that you have a good food experience is to figure out what they do best there and then have it.
Yep.
Because you don't want to be like the guy who gets pizza at a steak place. You know what I mean? You want to be you want to try what they're good at.
Yep. Every time we go somewhere new, the first thing we always do, actually the first at least 1 to 5 times we're there, how we're feeling it, is always going to like, we have to describe as grandma style food. That's like the best way to describe to like our local fixer or our local friend. We're like, we want to eat the most traditional stuff to understand this culture first. And as we keep coming back and keep coming back, then we progress to like, hey, what are the kids eating now? Like, what are the cool kids eating now? What are the hip kids eating? And that's how we work our way up to everywhere we go.
That's great.
But we've had like incredible, like I never knew that Czech Republic has an incredible barbecue scene, but it's very different. And Czech beer is some of the best stuff in the world. And some of the best meals I've ever had in my life have been in Warsaw, Poland. And they have vodka pickle bars there. And what you do is you go, it's a shot of vodka and they pair it with different pickles. I remember I'm not normally like a crazy drinker guy. I will occasionally drink sometimes. I never get nuts. But in Warsaw, I had 3 days off and the band were doing a stupid hell drive. And I was like, why not just stay in Warsaw and fly into the show for 2 hours versus a 50-hour drive? So I stayed there by myself with a friend that we've known for years. Took me to a bunch of different vodka pickle bars. And
oh, wow.
The final bar we were in, I was drinking Zviziec, which is the local Warsaw beer. And I do like Zviziec a lot. I have this tendency on tour, and this will give both of you flashbacks, red Solo cups. I kind of chew the glass. Like, we've always had red Solo cups on tour and like summer festival parking lot. For some reason, it's like a nervous tick. I chew the glass. And I was doing this, I was chewing the glass, but it's glass. And the whole thing shatters in my mouth. The entire thing is sitting in the bottom part of my jaw. I'm like, I've got beer and glass. I don't want to spit it all over the floor because it'd be terrible and I'd get thrown out. So I'm like picking the pieces out and filling the glass back up. The guy was so impressed, he bought all of us around.
Wow. That's a party trick.
Yes. I'm not doing that again.
Literal glass eater.
I'm glad you made it through it.
Yes. It's like, I think that only like 3 to 5 times in my life I've been that intoxicated. Because I'm always like, I like to have control. I like to know what I'm doing. Yeah. But that was one of them.
Man, I've been drunk.
You and Corey can be the drinking buddies.
Oh man, I will. Yes, that'd be sick. I'm into that.
He's the champ of our band.
What was the experience you were talking about, Adam? You said that that we had one.
Yeah, paella. Remember when we did that?
Oh, was it Madrid?
Yeah, it was Madrid. We were there for the Madrid Download Festival, and we went. It was me, Neil. It was
everyone in the band and our manager.
We're missing like one band member, and we went with the management, and we went to this place that like the old lady who owned the place was there, and she was like, she couldn't walk. She was that old, and she lived upstairs, and her husband had since passed. But they gave us like a tour of the back area, and it was like in her house. Yeah, that was crazy. It was amazing.
That's so awesome.
I told someone that story the other day, and I like looked it up, and it's like she's like in the photos of like the TripAdvisor like review of the restaurant and stuff, and that whole culture is just amazing.
I love it there.
Like Spain, Portuguese, like that whole area of the world, food. I'm just like, I'll just live here.
They eat for like hours, just chill.
There's a tapas place called Quimet y Quimet, and I believe it's Barcelona. It's right by the venue we usually play. It's super, super tiny little room. For some reason, they only serve Czech beer, but it's the greatest tapas I've ever had in my entire life. It's insane. There's no chairs. You eat off barrels. It's Quimet, and then
it came up real fast.
Quimet y Quimet. Yeah, it's so freaking good. I missed that.
Adam, add it to the list.
Yeah, I'm impressed with your pronunciation.
I've got, like, even if you're wondering where to eat in like Bulgaria, I don't remember the names, but I can point you in the direction.
You should start an app, but all it does is message you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, what's up?
You have a blog, right, where you like kind of talk about your food experiences and stuff like that?
Yep. Before streaming, like way before streaming, I think before Jiu-Jitsu too, I had a food blog. Or my wife had a food blog first. Then I had a food blog. Then we had a combined food blog, and then life got too busy. But
kids happen.
Yes. Blogging is hard, man.
It is very hard.
It's a lot of work. Well, it's just time consuming to do it right. Adam loves blogging. He has like the most.
I haven't done it in years.
Descriptive, amazing blogs I've ever seen.
Thanks, man. Well, honestly, time flies, but we're pretty much at the end here. Before we go, obviously, thank you. But we have a few more questions.
Yeah, no worries.
What is it? Is it what I think it is?
It is what you think it is.
Okay, so you're obviously a tour veteran. You've toured forever, playing the biggest and smallest, best and worst venues. You are a great person to answer this question. Do you use shower shoes when you're on the road?
Yes, not in hotels on days off, but in venues, yes. I just do because jiu-jitsu, we've had like foot fungus go awry. We've had that go through there and run rampant, so I don't want to mess with that on tour. Because like one of the foot funguses, and this is gross, If anyone's ever, the pinky toe seems like it's separating from the rest of their foot and there's a cut there, that's a specific kind of fungus that usually comes in like wrestling mats or jiu-jitsu mats. I don't want that on tour because you have to dry it with a hair dryer and it's a hell of a lot of work. So yes, shower shoes. I did Crocs for a minute. They're pretty embarrassing, but sandals work the same. Sandals are smaller footprint.
Crocs are cool now, man. Everyone loves the Crocs.
I do have yellow Crocs outside of my front.
It's like door. You wear Crocs, people are like, oh, sick. You get those on StockX. You're like, these are my shower shoes from 1994.
The yellow ones, I think Post Malone's signature ones are yellow too.
Yeah.
They probably think the Post Malone's ones.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, Matt's on the fucking, he's a sneakerhead. He's up on the shit.
I do have a cool sneaker collection finally. But yeah, so shower sandals, the Old Navy ones. They're small, they're cheap. Throw them out after the tour.
Yeah, we try to ask everyone. It's a variety of answers. Neil and I are pretty much living on the edge relative to most people.
I just don't. I mean, I'm like, you know what?
It's not that I'm a germaphobe. It's just that I've had foot fungus and I just don't want it.
I can see that changing. Neither of us have, at least to my knowledge, I've never had it.
I think I have had it, but I just didn't know what it was and it just went away. Eventually.
Yeah, I've had it like not go away for a long time. And we wear socks all day on tour, shoes all day on tour. Can't really be barefoot much. Foot fungus it just takes a while.
They should call it something else because foot fungus sounds so gross. It's like
it really does. But that's what it is. Like I've seen like the close-up images, and when someone from jiu-jitsu brings that in, we're just like, damn it, man, come on, just stay home for a week.
Mark was telling us that Madonna said she just pees in the shower and then it kills it, but then we found out that that's not true.
That's a jellyfish thing.
Yeah, we were like, this seems like a bunch of different ideas that are getting combined and they're not correct.
That's the jellyfish thing.
If it works on a jellyfish, what do you think it'll do for a shower? It has to.
No, you pee on your skin to help with the sting.
Yep. I know. I'm not
I don't shame though, like, because at least probably half our band doesn't do, actually maybe 3/4 of our band doesn't do shower shoes.
So everybody else.
Yeah, it's just me, but I don't shower shame. I don't shower shoe shame.
Yeah, you can't. You can't these days, especially.
I don't. As long as no one's pissing on the toilet seat or keeping the toilet gross, like that's the biggest thing for me. That's the one that makes you freak out on tour.
My favorite is like when you're like, you see someone come out and you're like, did you just piss on that? And they're like, no, it was like that when I went in there. And you're like,
younger bands of dudes specifically, like I think 25 and younger. Every time we've been on a tour with a younger band, they leave the seat down, they piss all over it, and they just like wad toilet paper everywhere. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, especially when there's one in a shitty club, it's like, well, you're gonna have to use this later. You might have to sit here. So yeah, that's the one thing that like I lose my cool.
What do they do in there anyway?
I lose my cool.
Like handstands or some shit. It's like
can you
just like get it in the hole? It's not that hard.
I remember when we played the White Rabbit. The last time we played the White Rabbit must have been like 10 years ago.
Hey, there was a really good burger spot next door to that.
I haven't been to that one. But there's like freaking eye makeup all over toilet paper just everywhere, and there's just piss everywhere, and the toilet is unflushed. I'm just like, you can see that's the one thing that makes me crack.
They're like, welcome to San Antonio.
Yes, that thing makes me crack. And now to my co-host, Kevin.